On this episode of Candid Couples Talk,
as a man, there's nothing more uglier than a pretty woman with a bad attitude, a bad disposition, a masculine attitude. I don't care how pretty you are. When you start talking crazy to a man, that pretty stuff go out the window. I mean, because he's totally looking at how you're responding and how your communication skills is. He's not even going to see a pretty person. He's going to see a problem.
What's good? What's good? It's your boy Quay Price, man. Welcome back to another edition of Candid Couples Talk. Once again, we're about to get into this conversation.
I believe that there's no harm in going out on a date with men, and I'm talking just dates, right? No sex, no expectation of anything afterwards. A first date, y'all get dinner and y'all go home. Y'all probably never even see each other again if y'all don't like each other. And they would look at that situation and be like, no harm, no foul, because I didn't sleep with him. Let me just tell you, there is harm, there is foul. I think that a lot of women have not come to grasp the concept of them having social currency and the value that a man obtains from even being in proximity to a pretty woman. But men have been clocked this. Men have long understood the social currency that they gain from just having pretty women around them. And you see it in all different facets of life, even as something as simple as the club. The guys want the pretty girls in the section with them, right? What are they truly gaining from that? Even the term trophy wife. Women are a social status to men. You'll even hear other men say that they know exactly how a man is living by looking at his wife. If she's put up, if she's well kept, if she looks good, if she shows up and shows out, he knows that that man is truly taking care of her. Just the visuals of a woman next to a man is going to be a positive thing for him. And this is before we even get into the Snapple facts about married men making more money on average. Right? They're able to move up in their careers faster and make more money because they're seen as more trustworthy just because they're married and have somebody depending on him. I want women to stop believing that just because they didn't pay for the date and they didn't give a man sex, that she didn't give anything to him during that date. Yes, she did. You are making that man look good by even sitting across the table from him. And my whole thing is, are you going to trust God to reveal your spouse or not? Because if you trust God to reveal your one spouse, because you only get one wedding, one marriage, one true marriage at least in this lifetime, if you really trust him, you wouldn't be taking it in your hands to, oh, let me go out on as many dates as possible. That's not the method. You can go out on dates for years and not get married. You're either going to trust God with your dating life or you're not.
What you say about this, Isha?
So I disagree with her, especially the part when she said having a pretty woman in your proximity, because you can be pretty on the outside, but the inside is you toe up. So right. Just because I'm going out with you and I may be attractive doesn't make me a catch. Mm-hmm. And as a man, he shouldn't have to feel like, oh, you know, just because I got this pretty woman and she's going out with me, oh, this. So I disagree with her on that part. Mm-hmm. So okay. I'll say that.
Appreciate that right there. We got Coco, we got Bug. Y'all want to say anything on this? Just go on, say what you want to say. Either one of y'all.
Well, I'll say it. I think she sounds like an idiot. Because being pretty in this day and life, the way society is and how women move nowadays, being pretty in a quarter might get you a bag of chips. You know, just the whole thought process of what she said. Men don't look at situations like that when they're out with women. Now, if the woman is pretty, fine. But if she just pretty enough, that's fine. I mean, the thought process that pretty gonna get you somewhere. What happens when that pretty run out? You better lock that pretty down to get somebody good to be in your corner with you for a lifetime. Because when you start reaching them older age and that pretty go away, what you got to work with then? Pretty is temporary, very temporary. So you need to understand, collect while you can, unless you're gonna be one of these women older talking about some where the good men at. And men ain't ish because you didn't cash in when you should.
Okay, I ain't mad at that. I don't know, Coco. You look like you want to say something. Go on, say what you're gonna say.
I mean, I was gonna also add to what Isha was saying. I was gonna add that for me, when she made the point about men have been clocked at, and another man can tell what or how well a woman is being kept by how her man treats her, how she looks, how she presents herself, right? And that's a whole cap, because that's something that we do as women. We're emotional. We're petty like that. We're worried about what the next woman is doing in her relationship. Men don't care about what the next woman is doing in their relationship. They not clocking T on how another man is treating his woman. That's not their business. It's not their concern. Men don't get off into that. We do. So tell me you're single and have never been in a serious long-term relationship without telling me you're single and have never been in a serious long-term relationship, because you would know that's not how a man works. Men don't care about that. They're not going to be looking at a woman and saying, oh yeah, her man ain't really taking care of her. Look at her, her nails not done. Look at her. And the only time that would even come up in conversation is if they are trying to be, shady and take a chick from her man. That is the only time they will say something or fix their mouths to even have that type of conversation. And if they're doing that, they playing a game. They're not even serious anyway to begin with. So yeah, no, I would just say that I do understand her sentiment, though. There's one thing I can't agree with. When she said that the move is not to just go out into the world and date as many men as you can. I actually don't agree with that either. I don't think that you should go into the world and date as many men as you can. I know that's the message that's been going out. I mean, we have pastors getting on the internet and saying the same thing, but I don't agree with that. I do believe that a woman should be selective. I don't think that she should be dating men just for a free meal. I don't think she should be dating guys just because he's attractive, but there are no other traits about him that she finds interesting. I agree with her that women should be selective, right? But what I want women to be careful of is these women who are claiming to be women of God, and I know she's one of them. Be careful that you're not taking a more of like a backseat to your life. Like, yes, definitely you want God to present the man that is the one for you, but give him something to work with, right? Like if you are always in your house, you never go anywhere, you never do anything at any time, you don't go to church on Sundays, so where the man at in the church that's gonna see you, you're not even presenting yourself to at least be in an environment where the man of God that you're looking for can actually see you and go, that's her. Right? So I'm not saying that you should be trying to take things into your own hands, but I do believe that you have to work in agreement with what you're praying for. So yeah, I hear what she's saying about that. And I do think women need to be selective, but I think there's a little bit of context that perhaps maybe she just left out. But this idea that women's value is innate, unfortunately, is a bit outdated. And the reason why I say that is because women don't value themselves the same way anymore. Women don't present themselves as value anymore. And I think that's sort of the point she was making. But I'm not speaking just in terms of dating, which is what she was speaking exclusively of. Women don't value themselves in general the same way that they used to. The innate value that women had really lied in their femininity. That was the innate value that women had. It lied in their femininity. And we have so many women, unfortunately, now feeling like those natural, automatic sort of, feminine qualities that just are female. They are woman. We're shying away from those things now. We don't really consider those things valuable. When men ask us what we bring to the table, we don't even know how to articulate our feminine value. We don't even know how to articulate our innate value. If we can't put into words what makes us innately valuable, then how can we expect a man to see the value in us?
True. Okay. No, I appreciate that right there. So let me say this. This is another example of why women need to start listening to men and following or following the direction of how men actually think. Yeah, once again, as a man does not care how another man's woman looks aesthetically. Yeah, we know the game. We know the hustle. We don't care about no Louis bags. We don't care about no Prada, no Celine, none of that nonsense. We looking at the fact that this man and his woman, she's happy. She got a good personality. She moves like she's taken care of. Yeah, we know aesthetics is a front. I know my boy Bud can agree to that. We know aesthetics is a front. Your dude can always buy a female some stuff and make it look like she got it going on. We can put her in a little Mercedes and make it look like she happy. Yeah. But we know once we interact with her or see her in real life that she not really happy. Yeah. Yeah, but that's what speaks the volumes to another man. It's about taking care of a woman. So when I hear a woman on a video, that's just another example of it. When I hear a woman on a video speaking to how a man looks at it or what a man values, we got to throw that out the door. Because at the end of the day, if that information is not coming from a man, then it's invalid. Yeah, that's just like men. We can't speak for women. Y'all looking at totally different things. Y'all appreciate totally different things than we do. But at the end of the day, if a man sees another man's woman, and let's say she's nice and she's friendly and she, hey, how you doing? And she want to help you out, or somebody cooking something and she want to make you a little plate and she not even yours, and you're like, okay, my man, he taking care of her. She in a good place. That's what we notice. But all that material stuff and how she look aesthetically and all that, we don't care about that because we know that's a front. See, a lot of dudes who really ain't got it popping like that, that's what they do. They try to put this little material stuff on a woman to try to make it look like they got it going on and everything is great and this and that. And behind the scenes, they can't stand each other. Behind the scenes, his woman still feel like he coming up short just because he can buy her some things. And that's not enough. See, what she really wanted was the touches. What she really wanted was the conversations and the laughs and the little shoulder rubs and all that stuff. But because my man is not that dude like he tries to pretend, then he just gonna make sure he buy stuff. He gonna keep her in the name brands, right? He gonna keep her in all that little nonsense. But that's a front. So if we talking about a real man in this particular situation based on her video, a real man can see right through that. Yeah, we can see right through that material aesthetic stuff. So I know for me personally, when I see dudes and they ladies walking around all this name brand garbage and all that, I know that's a front. Yeah, because at the end of the day, for a dude who really takes care of his woman and values his woman, and that woman moves like that woman that we talking about, all that stuff don't even be in play. It just be genuine, authentic relationship. You know what I'm saying? That's that couple you're going to see over there giggling and laughing secretly. You're like, what they over there giggling about?
Right.
You ain't going to be able to get in that because that's what they got going on. That's the stuff that dudes pay attention to. So yeah, we at a point, this video is just another example of sometimes I just don't think ladies understand because they don't talk to us and receive what we tell them. They don't understand how men really think, view, and feel about these things. Yeah, but I think that's a problem.
Okay, so I have a question.
Go ahead.
You said that when you're in the presence of a woman and she's, kind, she's, respectful, she's nice, she's willing to, make a plate for you or just do something, kind for you. And even if she's not your woman, is that about him taking care of her, or is that just about her and her own just her personality and how she carries herself, right?
So I think that's both. So the reason I say that is foundationally that woman will have those characteristics. But in addition, when a woman with those characteristics is with a man who takes care of her, she's more than willing to take care of people around him. If it be his friends, if it be his mama, if it be his kids, she's more than willing because she ultimately respects that man. So she knows if this man takes care of me, regardless of what the situation is, then when people that he care about is around, I'm gonna make sure they good as well. So I think those two things just go hand in hand. Yeah, I don't think it just cuts off just because it's people outside of him. Yeah, she's just gonna move in that type of energy all the time because at the end of the day, that's how he moves as a man. He moves like that all the time when it comes to her. So regardless of what it's gonna cost them or what type of pressure it's gonna put on him, he gonna make sure she got it, and then in turn, she gonna move and make sure he got it. And who anybody tied, and anybody tied to him, she gonna make sure they good as well. It's just that simple.
Well, it's that give and take thing.
I agree.
It's in any type of relationship, especially if it's a marriage. One person got to take care of the other. The body needs the head, the arms, and the legs to function. Okay, yeah, you can function with missing a limb, but you're not gonna function properly. Marriage is a teamwork, and I think that committed relationships should lead to marriage. All this serial dating and all this old crazy stuff, trying to look a certain way for the public, is what's killing us. We don't have no families. We don't have no communities. Our children are running amok. All we do is get on these computers and display these lives that's really not even real.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying? The reality of it is you don't see just a bunch of pretty women married. You see average people married to average people. That's what you see mostly. Okay? All this pretty stuff and the ones that's talking about all this pretty stuff, you start peeling off all that mascara, you got a whole nother beast or a whole nother animal. So let's stop acting like that. You know what I'm saying? I'm not mad at any of the sisters to think the way they think, but at the end of the day, come on now. Let's be realistic. You know what I'm saying? All of us got things about us that we feel we wish we could change. None of us are perfect. So, and when the women that say that, because I think that we still have a lot of good women out here, we just don't see them because they're probably busy being good women. But you got all these people on the internet telling people how men think if you a woman, that would be the equivalent of me saying, this is how a woman feel giving childbirth. I have no idea how a woman feel giving childbirth. Now, yes, I can look at her and I can deduce that she's going through a lot of pain. I can try to share that emotion, but I don't know how she feels. So how can a woman tell a man how he thinks her feel? You have no idea. I'm going to stay a man. You stay a woman. I'm not about to tell you how you think. Don't tell me how I think, because you make yourself look stupid when you do that. Yep. But hey, whatever you got to do to let you sleep at night, is what it is.
Okay. Well, I said, what I'm saying? I appreciate everybody giving me the input on it. I don't know. I feel like y'all got some additional to say. I'm looking over here at these ladies.
I do have something to say.
Go ahead, Isha. I know you got something to say. Go ahead.
And I'm going back to what you said earlier, and maybe I missed something, but when she said another man can look at a woman and tell if she's kept, depending on how she looks or how she's dressing or whatever.
Right.
And I think Sis Coco spoke on it. That I disagree with. But I wanted to say this. If I am a well-kept woman,
right,
I'm not entertaining you.
Facts.
At all.
Right.
So you're not really going to know how I move.
Right.
You can speak. We can say hi. But you're not really going to know how I move for real.
That's true.
Because if I'm well kept and you're looking at me that way, then I'm not even entertaining you. True. At all.
True.
So,
okay. No, I understand that right there. See, I knew she had something she wanted to add to this. I knew she had something she wanted to add to this. As men and women, we so disconnected. It's like we don't even understand where each of us is at this point. We don't consider how each of us feel. We don't consider how each of us think. We just get on these or get in these internet streets. We say whatever we want to say to try to go viral, to try to get clicks, to try to get views. But a lot of this information is inaccurate. At the end of the day, we got to get back to actually considering each other, actually considering each other's feelings and how we look at things, what our perspectives are. And then honestly, this point is important. We really got to get back to the point where we are open to take advice from people who have achieved what you are trying to achieve. That's the key. Yeah, but that's one of the struggles we go to today. Folks don't want to hear from the people who have what you're trying to get. You want to say something, Coco?
Yeah, I was gonna say it's funny that you said that, right? Like, because we hear a lot in, in these YouTube streets out here on social media in general about how it's hard for people to take, advice from people who are married. You're not dating. You're not on the dating scene. You don't know what it's like. But it's so funny. You'll let single people, and listen, I'm not saying that a single person doesn't have anything they can teach you. Okay, I believe you can learn anything from anyone, right? From any walk of life. Every person has something that they can teach you. Okay, you can learn something from anyone. But it's just funny when we talk about this relationship conversation. We have this conversation that will discredit something that someone who's been in a long-term relationship or married will say, but we will listen to all the single people in the world who have absolutely no track record, and they can tell you anything and you go for it. This young woman, to my knowledge, is not married, but she's telling you that the way you date is wrong. Now, did she make some good points? Okay, she made a couple good points. I'll give her that. But she also has some flaws and some errors, right, to what she was saying. We understand that because we've been there and we're on the other side of it. So we understand that, right? We understand that there were some valid points and there were some flaws. But to someone who has not reached this level of experience, they're going to listen to what she's saying. And because she sounds very confident when she's saying it, and she's self-assured, and you know what I mean? They're going to go, oh, I need to listen to this. Without understanding that there's nuances, without understanding that they're missing some context, without understanding there's a little bit of a flaw in some of her logic. They're just going to take what she's saying at face value and they're going to run with it. The interesting thing is, this is what married people have been telling you. Some of the stuff she said, we've been telling you that. We've been telling y'all stop dating around so much. We've been telling y'all to be more intentional with your dating. We've been telling you stop sleeping around so much. We have been getting on these platforms. Married people who have walked this path have been getting on these platforms and telling y'all that the way y'all are dating is going to lead you to baby mamahood. It's going to lead you to huge body counts. We've been telling y'all that. We have been saying that. This podcast has been around for 3 years. We've been saying that for 3 years plus. So instead of discrediting what we're telling you and listening to people who might have some good points or some good tips, but don't have the experience necessarily, you should be taking your information, look at it holistically. If you want to listen to this young woman, that's fine, but then come and get some information from someone who also has the experience so that you can put it together and then you can make an educated decision about how you should move forward, right? Because we've been saying this. Women, you do have innate value, but you have to understand what having innate value as a woman is. Right. You have to understand that your innate value lies in your femininity. That's where it lies. So stop rejecting the fact that you're feminine. Stop rejecting the idea of submission, because submission is feminine.
That's facts.
It is. Stop rejecting the when someone says you're a little too aggressive and maybe just bring it down a little. Stop rejecting that, because a feminine energy is a calm, peaceful energy. It is. It doesn't mean you can't have an opinion. It doesn't mean you can't be outspoken, right? But how do you articulate your opinion? And when you speak, how are you speaking and treating the people around you? Right? That's important. Stop rejecting the things that are innately valuable about you because they don't fit the narrative that society is telling you, that you need to be loud, you need to be seen in every room that you're in, you need to be, aggressive because men are aggressive, and when men are aggressive, they say they're successful, and they say you shouldn't be operating in a masculine energy, because that's not where your natural ability is, and it's not where your value lies, right? But we've been saying that, right? So why does it sound different when someone who doesn't necessarily have the experience says it? Why does it sound different? It's the same message.
I'm gonna take a little close and then we're gonna get on up out of here. So I'm gonna come across the top to bottom. So we're gonna go to Coco first, take some clothes, then we're gonna go to Isha. We're gonna come over to Bud. We're gonna hit Quay Price and we out of here. Coco, what you want to say before we get out of here?
I mean, I think I've said a lot. I think that's it for me. Like, I think that's it. I think discernment. I think I'm gonna land on discernment. Like, I think that I'm gonna land on the fact that as women, like, especially talking to women, especially, like, we have to get back to the point where we stand in our power. Our real, true power lies in our femininity. It really, really does. It doesn't lie in how much money we can make. Not saying that you can't be super successful financially. That's wonderful, right? But that's not where your power lies, right? This weird competitive spirit that we have with men now, it's weird, y'all. Like, let's let that go. We should want our men to be great. We should want our men to be great. Like, it's nothing wrong with pouring into a man and he, just takes off and is super, like, that's actually one of our feminine powers.
I agree.
We pour into men and they do excel. We help men excel. We do. That's actually one of our innate values. We help men excel. That's not a bad thing, ladies. It's not a bad thing for you to pour into a man and he takes off. That's your superpower. That's one of them, right? So let's stop looking at it like they're getting something out of it, but we're not. The only time you're going to feel like that, I'm going to be honest, is if you picked a man that isn't also pouring into you as well. That's right? The only time. The only time you're going to feel like, why am I pouring into him? Is because your cup is not being filled. And that has a lot to do with who you choose. Once again, I'm going to land on, we have to have better discernment.
Okay, appreciate that right there. Isha, what you say? What's your close out before we get out of here?
I'm a piggyback off sis with the discernment piece. That's 101% correct. I will say we play such a vital role in our husbands' lives. And when you listen, you say, okay, we've made from the rib. The rib protects vital organs. And we're in a place as a spouse, a wife, whatever you want to call it, to protect our husbands too. So although they are the head, we weren't made from the head, because I don't think that God wanted us to step on them. And not made from the feet, because I don't think he wanted them to step on us. But when you say made from the rib, we are a very, very important piece of protection for them too. And I think with a lot, going back to this young lady, social media, and her getting on here and saying what she's saying is attractive to a lot of single women, influencer, if you want to say that.
Thanks.
But if you listen to someone like sis, and she's spitting real game, that's boring to a lot of single women.
Right.
But what the young lady was saying is attractive to them. And the young ladies now, they tend to follow that. And that's just not the way to go. It's just not. Which could explain why she's on there saying what she's saying, but you single. You single, sis. So, I mean, that says it all right there. So I'll end mine right there.
Okay, Isha. All right. I was about to let you close out with that, but I'm about to put you on the spot. So, Isha, I want you to tell me one thing.
Okay.
Tell me one thing that a woman in 2025 could do to secure a good man? One thing.
That's good.
Listen,
Ooh.
be submissive and let your husband or let the man lead. There's one thing I will never do. I'll never disrespect him. I'll never embarrass him. And if he's doing something out of pocket, it's always a time and a place for things. If he say something or do something that I may not agree with, I may not like, I never address him out in front of people. It's always behind closed doors.
Right.
Because you never want to make them feel less than a man. And I think a lot of women these days want to be the man and don't want their husbands or boyfriends or whoever they're with, take that role. So I will say that.
Okay. Listen, that's the key right there. I appreciate that. All right, Bug, it's on you, man. What you want to say before we get out of here, man?
Well, listen to all this stuff that a lot of women say on the internet. As a man, there's nothing more uglier than a pretty woman with a bad attitude, a bad disposition, a masculine attitude. I don't care how pretty you are. When you start talking look crazy to a man, that pretty stuff go out the window. I mean, because he's totally looking at how you're responding and how your communication skills is. He's not even going to see a pretty person. He's going to see a problem. So I think the women need to look at that aspect. You can communicate with people without being masculine or ugly. You got to learn how to communicate. And as far as to go with relationships and commitments and marriage, that should be the focus. The relationship, the commitment, or the marriage, not how you look to other people. How society, or else how somebody in a restaurant you probably never gonna see again perceives you and your man or your wife. What difference do it make about the optics if your relationship is marriage is trash? You looking at two couples here that got almost 4 decades in marriage. So you're talking about a lot of wisdom, and we still going strong. Do we have our issues? Sure. But we sit down like adults and talk about the issues and we fix them. Not run at the first sign of trouble. Because if you're going to do that, you're going to always be running. So at a certain point, you got to stand your ground, make adult decisions, and do the right thing. I am perfectly content and happy in my marriage. We have our issues, we work on them. That's about being a grown-up. Not being a child and running every time somebody don't do something that you don't like.
Right.
And that can go for he or she. A marriage is a commitment. You don't just easily throw it away. If you marrying somebody you can just easily walk away from, what's the point of getting married? Come on. Our community we're not going to get our community back together unless we start acting like adults and staying in our marriages. As long as there's not any abuse or anything like that going on. Stay in our marriages, working out our problems, and we don't have a black community no more. We have black neighborhoods. We had communities. Those are all gone. If we actually want to compete on this world scale and make the black people what they were in the 60s and 70s when we did have communities, we're going to have to start working together. We might not be black men and black women. We might not be each other's best friend, but we're our only friend. That is a fact.
Preach.
We all we got. So we need to start acting like it. And that's all I got to say.
Wow.
That's facts right there. That's facts right there, man. And shout out to that, man. I always appreciate, like I said, grown men and grown women having these type of conversations. I said that's the piece I think that's missing. But I'll say this when we get out of here. At the end of the day, you don't know everything. Yeah, you think you know everything, but you don't know everything. This is why you ain't been able to get what you're trying to get. This is why it ain't worked out yet. This is why you bounce from woman to man, woman to woman, to man to man. It don't never work out because you don't know everything. So sometimes you got to fall back and listen to somebody who done been through it, that's done actually got to the finish line like you trying to get to. Yeah, once you're willing to do that, once you're willing to fall back, get out your feelings, get out your emotions, then you may be able to achieve and get to what you're trying to get to ultimately. But man, shout out to y'all for joining us tonight, man. Shout out to the panel, man. Shout out to my guy Bug. Shout out to Coco. Shout out to Isha, man. We appreciate y'all all holding us down tonight. Man, it's another candid couples conversation. Have a good night. We'll catch y'all on the next one.
It's not a game, it's a rich thing.